The story follows a woman named Perfidia, who is involved with a far-left group known as French 75. She visits an immigrant detention center to study its layout and security. Later, she meets with the group to organize an operation. She speaks privately with a member called Pat and reminds him that his job is to cause a distraction using an explosion. As evening arrives, the group secretly enters the detention center. One team detains the soldiers while another assists the immigrants in escaping. Perfidia goes to the room of the commanding officer, Lockjaw, where she explains the group's purpose and says they intend to disgrace him. She restrains him and leads him outside to join the other captured soldiers. The immigrants are moved out by truck, and Pat triggers the planned diversion. After completing the mission, the group escapes. Perfidia and Pat become closer, and the group continues carrying out attacks on political offices, banks, and power systems. Perfidia and Pat begin a relationship. Lockjaw becomes fixated on Perfidia and starts watching her. He grows angry when he sees her with Pat. During another planning effort, Lockjaw captures Perfidia. He allows her to continue her actions only if she agrees to meet him at a motel. She accepts, and they sleep together. Not long after, Perfidia becomes pregnant but continues living the same way, which troubles Pat. After the child is born, Perfidia feels ignored. Pat wants them to stop their activities and focus on raising their family, but she refuses and stays with the group. Later, Lockjaw approaches Pat at a supermarket and asks about the child. Pat says they have a daughter named Charlene. Lockjaw makes an unsettling remark and leaves, leaving Pat shaken. During a bank robbery, Perfidia shoots a security guard. The group escapes in cars, leading to a long chase. Perfidia's car crashes, and she tries to flee on foot before being arrested. While she is held in custody, Lockjaw visits her and offers her freedom in exchange for information about key members of the group. After her arrest, Pat escapes with help from another group member named Howard. Howard gives him a small device and explains that when it is closed, it plays a tune that confirms the holder can be trusted. He also hands Pat an envelope containing coded language for communication and tells him to memorize it and destroy it. Pat prepares to leave with his daughter, planning to hide in a sanctuary city called Bacton Cross. Perfidia gives up information about the group, and she is placed in the Witness Protection Program. Lockjaw begins tracking down the remaining members of French 75 and succeeds in taking out many of them. He is rewarded for dismantling the group. When he goes to see Perfidia later, he discovers that she has disappeared. 16 years later, Pat's daughter is grown and living under the name Willia Ferguson. She trains in karate with a sensei named Sergio. Pat now goes by Bob Ferguson. He spends most of his time smoking and has become very paranoid. Lockjaw's influence has grown, and Bob is invited to join a white supremacist group called the Christmas Adventure Club. During his meeting with them, they question his past and warn him that a background check will decide his acceptance. They ask him several personal questions, which he denies. Howard is still alive and secretly running French 75. One day, a bounty hunter named Avanti captures him. Some children witness this and spread the word that Howard has been taken. Avanti brings him to a military facility where he is questioned about the location of Charlene. Till he refuses to talk, they threaten his sister, forcing him to give up the information. This information is passed to Lockjaw. Lockjaw prepares his team and announces a mission to Bacton Cross to arrest two high-value targets, Bob and Willia Ferguson. When they arrive in the city, they are also assigned a raid on a drug distribution center as a cover operation. At home, Willia grows frustrated with her father's constant smoking and suspicious behavior. She gets ready to attend a school dance, while Bob acts rudely toward her friends. After that, they head to the school dance. While Willia is in the restroom, the device she carries begins to play a signal. A woman named Deandra appears and delivers the correct coded phrase. Willia responds properly, confirming her identity. Deandra explains that an emergency warning has been issued and they must leave at once. She says she knew Willia's parents and that Willia can rely on her without hesitation. They escape the school just as enforcement agents storm the building. Soldiers line up the students and begin searching for Willia. Meanwhile, Bob is at home, high and distracted, when he receives a call. The caller speaks in code and waits for the correct response. Bob struggles to remember it but eventually manages to reply. Through the coded exchange, he learns that Howard has been captured and that Lockjaw is heading to their city. He is told that Willia has already been secured and that they will meet at a designated rendezvous point. Before Bob can recall the location or ask for clarification, the call disconnects. Bob tries to steady himself and think clearly. Moments later, Lockjaw and his men force their way into the house. While searching, they discover a hidden tunnel. Suspecting traps, they throw smoke grenades inside. Bob escapes through the tunnel before the smoke spreads and emerges deep in the jungle. He makes his way out and finds a restroom to rinse his eyes. His device is out of power, so he heads to the road and uses a payphone. He contacts members of the underground French 75 network and asks about the rendezvous location. They test him with a coded question about the time, but he cannot remember the correct answer. He tries to explain his situation, but they refuse to help without proper verification. As raids spread across the city, Bob runs through the chaos and goes to Sergio's office. He looks for a weapon. Sergio, a key figure within the undocumented community and someone well aware of local movements, tells Bob they need to leave and says he will help him get a gun. While driving, Bob explains everything that has happened. Sergio suggests calling Willia, but Bob says she does not carry a phone because he thought it was unsafe. Sergio then reveals that she secretly has one. At the school, agents question students about Willia's location, but no one provides answers. They ask if she owns a phone, and the students say she does not, explaining that her father is overly cautious. Deandra later asks Willia if she knows who Lockjaw is. Willia says she does, explaining that her father told her Lockjaw was responsible for her mother's death. The city falls into disorder as residents protest against the IC. A group of skaters rides up to Sergio's car, and he quickly gives them instructions. He then takes Bob to his shop so Bob can look for a phone charger. While there, Sergio explains what needs to happen next. They visit undocumented families who are in hiding and tell them it is time to move, assuring them that a safe route has been arranged. Sergio brings Bob to his home and introduces him to the people staying there. Bob goes into another room to charge his phone and calls the French 75 network again to ask for the meeting point. He is asked the same coded question about the time, but he still cannot answer it, leading to a heated exchange. Meanwhile, Sergio prepares for evacuation. An underground passage is opened, and families are guided through it one by one. IC agents arrive at the shop. A child notices them and runs off before they can stop him. The agents force their way inside. Under pressure, Bob uses a different code he remembers and reaches a higher-level contact. The supervisor takes the call and recognizes Bob. He asks Bob a personal question, which Bob answers correctly. The man then reveals the rendezvous point and explains its meaning. Bob demands the exact location and an apology. As the agents break into the shop, the supervisor gives Bob the precise location and apologizes. Bob, still angry, asks again about the meaning of the time code. The supervisor explains it, which only frustrates Bob further. Sergio rushes in and tells Bob they must leave immediately. He leads him into a corridor and instructs his students to take Bob somewhere safe. He also hands Bob a gun. Bob panics, but Sergio tells him to stay strong. Sergio and the others escape through the tunnel. As the agents enter the building, the students guide Bob up to the rooftop. Back at the school, agents continue questioning students but fail to get any useful information. The agents decide to detain the students. One of them breaks under pressure and reveals that Willia has a hidden phone. While riding in the car, Willia's phone begins to ring. Deandra reacts angrily, takes the phone from her, and throws it away. Lockjaw is later informed of the phone's last known location. On the rooftops, the students lead Bob while trying to escape. During a jump, Bob falls from the building. He tries to run, but police officers mistake him for a protester and subdue him with a taser. The students alert Sergio that Bob has been captured, but they manage to keep the gun with them. Deandra and Willia arrive at a place called Sisters of the Brave Beaver. Deandra explains that Willia is Perfidia's daughter and asks for protection. The head nun, Relay, is shocked to see her. She tells Deandra that Willia's mother had betrayed others in the past and says they will watch the girl closely. Another nun takes Willia to a room. Deandra and Relay talk privately and reflect on their shared history. Elsewhere, Tim Smith, a member of the Christmas Adventure Club, meets with other members of the group. A man named Vorel tells him they are facing a problem and need his help. The group has recently decided to bring in a new member, Lockjaw. Another member, Bill, says they uncovered information suggesting Lockjaw has a child with a black woman. During a background check, they found a classified report in which a French 75 member named Jungle Pacey mentioned this story many years earlier. That person is now dead, so they cannot confirm it. They also learn that Lockjaw recently hired a bounty hunter to track down Howard, a former French 75 member who now helps immigrants cross the border and find work in a sanctuary city. Lockjaw has sent his task force into that city and raids a chicken farm, believing it is connected to illegal activity. The farm belongs to one of their own members, and he demands that his worker be returned. Lockjaw also raids a nearby ICE office, pushing the city further into disorder. Tim realizes that Lockjaw is searching for his mixed-race child. He asks about the child's mother, and they show him Perfidia's records. The file explains that Lockjaw himself was the officer who arrested her. She was later placed in witness protection and escaped. Her current location is unknown, though it is believed she may be in Cuba or Algeria. Roy, the group's leader, tells Tim that the situation must be handled quietly. Tim understands what is expected of him and leaves to take care of it. At the convent, Willia trains with the nuns. She is upset after learning the truth about her mother. She asks Deandra if her mother really betrayed the group, and Deandra confirms it. Bob is still in police custody and behaves like an addict during intake. He gives a false name while a nurse examines him. The nurse suddenly calls him Bob and asks if he has diabetes and whether he has taken his insulin. Bob understands the signal and says he has not. The nurse tells the officer that he needs immediate medical attention and should be taken to the emergency room. At the hospital, another nurse approaches Bob quietly. She releases him and explains how he can escape. After she leaves, Bob slips away. Outside, he finds Sergio waiting. Sergio tells him they must go to the location of the Sisters of the Brave Beaver. Nearby, Lockjaw is questioning a man at a roadside shop. The man says he saw a van heading toward the hills with a black girl inside. When asked what is in the hills, the man says a group of nuns live there and grow weed. Lockjaw finds the claim strange but takes note of it. Back at the convent, Deandra and Willia are sitting together when they hear a noise. Deandra goes to check, and agents suddenly rush in and arrest Willia. She is taken to Lockjaw and sees that all the nuns have been detained. She is brought before him, and he orders his men to leave them alone. He tells Willia to step closer and studies her carefully. He seats her and pulls out a DNA testing kit. He takes a sample from her mouth and then collects one from himself. He places both samples into the machine and starts the test. He tells her that if the results do not match, she will be released, but if they do, there will be consequences. While waiting, he asks her how old she is and whether she has a boyfriend, but she refuses to respond. In another room, an agent questions Deandra about Pat's whereabouts, but she says she has no information. Willia asks Lockjaw if he loved her mother or forced her. He replies by asking if she believes he is her father. Willia says the result does not matter because she already has a father and it is not him. Lockjaw grabs her and insults her appearance, telling her to wear more makeup. They argue and he says she talks too much like her mother. He then checks the result, which shows a positive match. After that, he gathers his things and prepares to leave. Bob and Sergio are driving when a police car begins following them and orders them to pull over. Sergio tells Bob to jump from the car. Bob moves toward the window but hesitates. Sergio speeds up and Bob falls out of the car. He hides behind a door as the police car passes. He then steals another car and drives toward the hills. From a higher position, he watches the area from a distance. Lockjaw arrives to take Willia. She tries to run, but he catches her and forces her into a vehicle. Bob watches the agents from afar with a rifle. He sees Lockjaw place Willia in the car and tries to shoot him but misses. Lockjaw escapes in the vehicle. Soldiers return fire toward Bob's position. He avoids the shots, gets back into the car, and follows Lockjaw. Inside the vehicle, Lockjaw speaks about Willia's mother, praising her. Willia responds by calling her a traitor. He describes her as a woman who fought for her freedom, but Willia repeats her claim. Angered, he almost strikes her but stops himself and says he should respect her parents. Lockjaw takes Willia to the bounty hunter Avanti and tells him that she needs to be eliminated. He claims she is involved with criminals and says no one will care if she disappears. Avanti refuses, saying he does not harm children, even when offered more money. Lockjaw then orders him to deliver her to a militia group, and Avanti agrees. He pulls her outside, but she tries to get away. He shoves her into his car by force and drives off. Bob loses sight of the vehicle and stops to ask local men for directions. They point him the right way. Sergio is arrested by police after pretending to be drunk. When officers ask what he threw from the car earlier, he claims it was only trash. Inside the moving car, Willia struggles and tries to break the door. Avanti asks if anyone will come looking for her. She says yes and warns that whoever finds her will come after him. While Lockjaw is driving, another car pulls up beside him and signals for him to lower the window. As soon as he does, the driver pulls out a gun and shoots him. Lockjaw's car crashes off the road. Avanti takes Willia to a militia compound and tells them she was sent by Lockjaw. He ties her to a chair and hands the key to a guard. He makes a call, waiting for others to arrive. Elsewhere, Tim confirms that Lockjaw is dead and leaves the area. Bob later finds the crashed car but does not see Willia. He takes out his device and loudly speaks the coded phrase, hoping she will respond. When there is no answer, he realizes she is not there and drives away. At the militia location, Willia sees two men arrive on a motorcycle and begin preparing a boat. Avanti watches from his car, then steps out with a gun. He takes the key, frees Willia, and shoots the guard. He goes inside to deal with the others. Willia runs and hides behind a car. She tries to drive away but cannot start it without the key. After the shooting stops, Willia goes back inside and finds everyone dead. She takes the key from Avanti's body, starts the car, and escapes. While driving, she notices another vehicle following her. It is Tim, who is closing in. She turns onto a steep road, stops her car in a blind spot, gets out, and hides nearby with the gun ready. Tim drives uphill and crashes into her parked car. Willia aims the gun at the door. When Tim steps out, she shouts the coded phrase. He looks confused and asks what she means. Willia fires and kills him. A short while later, Bob arrives at the scene. He takes out the device and calls for Willia. She keeps the gun raised and demands the correct code. Bob responds properly and tells her he is her father. She lowers the weapon, and they hold each other. Bob then leaves the area with his daughter. Against expectations, Lockjaw is still alive, badly injured and walking through the streets. Sometime later, he meets with the Christmas Adventure Club. They question him about Perfidia and ask whether he had any involvement with her. With his face damaged, Lockjaw claims he was injured during battles and says that at one point he was taken advantage of. He describes the woman as someone who used him for her own purpose. When asked why someone would do that, he says he believes they wanted his intelligence and strength. Despite this, he is accepted into the group. One of the members shows him to his office. After being left alone, Lockjaw sits down confidently. Moments later, gas begins to fill the room from above. Lockjaw loses consciousness and dies. Men wearing protective suits enter, remove his body, and cremate it. Later, Bob tells Willia that her mother had written letters for her. He explains that he kept them hidden because he wanted to protect her but now feels she is ready. He gives her one of the letters. As she reads, her mother writes about not knowing how things ended up this way and asks if her daughter is safe. She admits she feels tired and weak. She says she tried to change the world and failed, but hopes it may still be set right. She ends by saying they will meet again someday. After finishing the letter, Willia hugs her father. Bob now owns a phone and Willia shows him how to use it. Soon after, a radio message reports a protest in Oakland. With her father's approval, Willia leaves to take part in it.